I've met the best people of my life in the last 12 years in the service members, like 6 as an example. Just like it was for my buddy back then, it's like, I got you. I'm not going to say no.
Yeah.
When you are interfacing with someone who's volunteered to serve the nation, and they're in a place where they may not come back, and we've lost a lot of guys along the way that we knew, and that sucks. There's a new level of responsibility when you wake up in the morning and you go out the door and you go in the office and you kick those lights on. It's game on every day.
You kind of dived right into it with helping men and women who needed to.
And when you say yes to a guy who's, in Afghanistan or in Iraq or, in a lot of other places around the globe that I can't mention that we're helping out service members, when you say yes to them, they're relying on that in a big, huge way. They're waiting for that, hey, it's on its way. They're waiting for that, that mail call or that bird to, come in or that, that whatever. So it's a greater level of responsibility than anything. I mean, I was kicked in from the deep end with no water in the pool, when we started Troops Direct. And I didn't wake up and say, gee, I'm going to start a charity. Back then, my wife, Michelle, was like, I was just, starting this organization. It's like, I got this thing going on. And then it was like, honey, I'm going to hang up my daytime job. Because I remember going over to my dad's office, which was kind of across the hall from me. He goes, how's that troops thing going that you're doing? I said, it's just taking up so much of my time. I said, I'm going to probably hang it up. I just, and everyone's saying, oh, the war is going to be over in 2012. We're not going to need you anymore. Thanks for playing and all that stuff. And my dad goes, what do you want to do? I said, Dad, I really want to do Troops Direct. And he goes, take that jump. He goes, follow your gut and do what you want to do. And I'll never forget that conversation. But then I remember, going home and saying, honey, I'm hanging up my career to do this thing. And it was pretty much, I'm expecting. And it was like, whoa, and then our first son, Noah was shortly after. So I was like, all right, how do I make this thing happen? And you follow your gut and you think about, the hundreds of thousands that are out there, putting in work every day. And back then it was just me, it was that one guy doing the things for, guys like 6. And the way we look at it is, and I guess this is, our disclaimer is that, the government does a good job in supplying our service members what they need. What do I do with my hands? No, but it is we believe at Troops Direct that the individual on deployment in the dirt, doing what they're doing, knows better than anybody what they need in that moment.
Absolutely.
To do their job and ensure their safety while doing that job. Because for us, it's about, hey, accomplish your mission, but also get home to your family.
Yes.
And that's a big thing for us. So that's really kind of our mantra. Accomplish mission, get home safely. When it's fly time and you need every possible tool that you know how to use in that moment, you got to learn how to rebuild an engine with just kind of like, your screwdriver and crescent wrench kind of thing. But when you really got to build that engine, it's time to do it. You want the big, huge toolbox with everything in there that is available to you, because if you don't, you lose that race. And so, it's the same thing. Give them I remember you saying, like, the ALS bags we provided to you, it's like when you're treating 4 individuals at once, the seconds count, and the seconds turn into minutes when you're treating 4 individuals. That's the difference between someone making it and somebody not.
Yeah.
Or someone making it, just long enough to go to Germany or something,
That's incredible. And I think it's important to highlight at the same time is that you provide, Troops Direct provides gear that does save lives in the long run because it shaves seconds. Can you give us an example of some equipment that you said ALS bags and stuff like that, but you said you had a couple stories.
I mean, that's just on the medical side. When you're in the battle space, anything can happen. We've had to replace optics for, some teams because their stuff shot craps and they can't get a brand new optic.
Rifle optics?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
For the teams.
For the teams.
Whew. I mean, you're talking $3,000, $4,000 per optic, or more. And some of those higher.
We're not going to Dick's Sporting Goods and pulling something off the shelf. They're saying, we need a ATAC-R 525-56 with this reticle.
Damn.
Roger that.
Whoa.
It's not hey, okay, well, we got you this Bushnell on sale at Amazon. No.
Damn.
You tell us what you need and we will get it for you. There's 1,000 stories. And I can talk about how on the soft side, these guys have gone from the desert environment to now into the, the jungle environments and new maritime environments and stuff, and how that stuff's not working. They can't get things. But I remember once there was a team, we've been supporting them on a myriad of things, and they were this little outpost. I mean, it was probably the size of the studio. And their entire system was run by this one Volvo Penta generator, or this generator with a Volvo Penta diesel in it. And it had never been serviced, but it was running all their comms, all their power, all their everything.
Day and night, yeah.
Thing goes out, boom, dead. They're dead in the water. And they ring up their supply chain. I'm speaking kind of obtusely right now. And they go, sorry, 12-month back order on parts to get you running. Make do.
Impossible.
Yeah,
that's the rest of the deployment.
Yeah. So my buddy contacts me. He goes, we're dead in the water on this generator. He goes, I need these parts. Can you get them for me? I'm like, okay, send me what you got. And this is on like a Friday. And I'm like, Volvo Penta diesel parts. But I call this guy I know. And long story short, Volvo is like, gotcha. They overnighted all the parts from Belgium to us in California for a Saturday delivery, all the parts in duplicate. We pushed them through a contact that we had into, I think it was into JBAT, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. And we had to bribe some dude like a case of Sailor Jerry to get to fly the stuff in, like literally, somebody's seen a movie, commandeered a 60 to fly it out there. But they had the parts in like 5 days. And that literally got all their systems back up, which included all the technology that had all the IED mappings out there. So they knew where all their hits had been like over the past like 12 months. So like he came back to me like afterwards and was like, dude, you don't realize what that did for us. It wasn't just about turning the lights back on. It was because of that, it was like, oh, that's out there now kind of thing. But I mean, so there's examples like that. There's a funny story. We got a call from this dude. He goes, we need Just for Men hair dye. And I'm like, yeah, funny joke. Okay, who's pranking us now? Have a nice day. Yeah. And he goes, no. He goes, you don't get it. We've all got our beards out here. But he goes, the bad guys are taking pop shots at the gingers and at the blonde haired because they can tell. Seriously. Yeah. Oh. And this is a $3.99 bottle of stuff. So a simple example of sport. It's kind of a funny story. He goes, we need it for those dudes so they can dye their beards out because goes, we're all kind of tanned out now. But he goes, those are the guys that are getting, shot at. The other thing is that, we're not sending stuff out arbitrarily. So it's kind of like a firefighter or a cop or something like that. You never know what the next call is going to be. Yeah. And we've got this special inbox and request form on the website. And it's like, bing, it goes off. And it's like, here's who I am. Here's what I need. Helmets. People are like, bullshit. Dudes don't need helmets. I can't tell you how many stories. And we vet everything. We've got a guy that works for us. He's EAS'd after 20 years out of the Marine Corps. He's MARSOC guy. He's phenomenal. He vets everything. And he's like, those dudes have been waiting for helmets for 6 months and can't get it. I heard one story from a guy who was in the teams and he waited 13 months while he was on deployment to get a helmet for him as Ops Corps or Team Wendy because they couldn't get through the supply line. Yeah, and it's like, dude, what the hell?
I gotta roll back just a little bit and discuss that generator delivering parts in 5 days. I don't know if people in the audience really understand the logistical nightmare that is to accomplish in 5 days. To get parts from Belgium into California and then into Afghanistan in a matter of 5 days delivered to a small fob. Absolutely impossible feat. Like that, huge respect.
I'm probably safe to say this anecdotally now, but they stepped up and overnighted the parts to us. We didn't ask for that. They're just like, we got your back.
Well, yeah. I mean, them coming through and being supportive is huge too. It,
and we had a contact down in Coronado where the teams are based. Yeah. And he goes, get it to me. Yeah. And he, from there,
took care of it. Yeah.
He was tied with logs to the logistics support side of stuff. Sure. He's like, you get it to me and I'll get it to those guys.
Yeah, that is so massively impressive. Yeah. I mean, even ordering basic parts that we would need for the helicopter, for instance, in a deployed location where we're doing combat operations all the time, we would get the same answer. Like, sorry, 6 weeks. Like, you're down like a helicopter that saves people's lives if you don't get this part to me, right? Yeah, like, there's 5,000 people who are shitting themselves right now because they might not get picked up.
Well, and even for these guys, right? Like for the guys that are like, out of power, right? Like they don't have lights and radios, but they also can't call for help. They
exactly.
Nothing. Spill, Medevac, anything, right? They're just, someone gets hurt, they get rocketed. Like
one little thing.
A smoke flare or something, hoping that someone sees it.
Yeah. And we don't need to, yeast or put any drama in our stories. I mean, this is just the everyday lives of some of these individuals. I mean, cold weather gear. I mean, there's a lot of guys going out, they don't have it. And I mean, cold is along next to the sea. I mean, cold doesn't care.
Yeah, it does not.
But
are these recent issues that you're facing as well?
These are stories that, I mean, the generator story as an example was 2013.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But we have stories and requests that are akin to, I mean, that was a pretty cool story, but in its own right. But we have stories that go up to the inbox ringing this morning as to why stuff is needed.
Yeah. So what are some of the difficulties that you face nowadays?
The deployments that are going on around the globe right now, as we sit here, they're everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We know that, but it's not making the evening news anymore. It's not making even the bottom of the back page of the newspaper anymore.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest challenge we face is educating the public that this is still going on.
How do you educate the public when they're not allowing people to share their stories?
Well, and that's,
they throttle everything that has to do with it.
You're right. It's an uphill battle.
Yeah.
It's one where you just don't quit. You don't say, gee, shucks, nobody wants to support us anymore, because it's not in everybody's face. And because, people are more focused now on supporting the veteran and the wounded, which I advocate for.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, on our website, literally, we've got our most recent invoice, 15 grand, 20 grand, 10 grand, 50 grand, literally right there. You don't believe us, sir, ma'am? Go on our website, onto the homepage, and you will see the request. We've redacted the recipient, but everything down to the penny is there. So if you want to call bullshit on the fact that our troops aren't there, or bullshit on the fact that the need is not there for those that are still, Oconus, but even for the National Guard domestically, who we support.
Yeah.
And I mean, here's an individual like Andrew that will tell you, but it's also a challenge to your point. You can't get an active duty guy to say, here I am in X location on the globe and Troops Direct is helping me out right now. Yeah. You can do that with the wounded. You can do that with the veterans. Mm-hmm. You can't do that with us. And that's a challenge.
Nails right on the head with a lot of these nonprofits out there is we just want to showcase what we're doing and show the impact. Mm-hmm. And you're doing that at the expense of helping those who truly need it. Mm-hmm. And that's why it's not as glorifying to help active duty troops, because they can't talk about it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
The government's definitely not going to say, we're not supplying you. These guys are. Thank you for what you do.
We don't want to parade out people. We don't want to, go out there and rah, what we're doing. We want to celebrate, if you will, the fact that we made it happen for a service member who's out there. But at the same time, and rightfully so, there's so much OPSEC out there that we respect and will never breach. We never want our service members to think, gee, Troops Direct is awesome, but we're going to have to do X, Y, or Z in exchange. There is zero tit for tat. It's here you go, bro. Do your job. Rock on.
That is a really hard line to walk too for a nonprofit. Not to want to capitalize on, using the wounded veteran image and the guy in the wheelchair, the guy with one leg, right? Yeah. Those are great images that are moving and powerful, helps you raise funds.
Yeah.
But that is the weird balance and that weird line to walk is, it's really hard to showcase to the public and say, hey, look what we did. Yeah. But it's also hard to raise money if you don't showcase to the public, hey, look what we're doing.
But this is what's great, in my opinion, about us. Mm-hmm. If we have a request, and I'll keep it in the realm of, medical. Mm-hmm. If we have a request for an ALS bag, let's say it's a $1,000 unit or additional other medical equipment. I mean, we've done defibrillators, we've done a myriad of things through the years, tons of medical stuff. When you're able to go to a donor and you're saying, I have a request here for this item, and it's going to cost $1,000. And here's the request from the service member to those donors that we know.
You attach a name and a face.
Yes. And here's what it is. I'm not asking you for $1,001. I'm asking you for that right here. And here's the paid receipt. I mean, how do you say no to that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Makes it a lot more difficult.
For the medical stuff is sometimes easier, I think, for people to see a connection, right? Because not everyone maybe wants to be as openly supportive of things that are in the business of war.
Yeah,
right?
Of course.
But people tell me how do you feel about the withdrawal, or how do you feel about this or that? I'm like, hey, the cool thing about being a medic is that I don't really have to care all that
much. My
about
opinion doesn't fucking matter.
People getting hurt, then my job's to be there, right?
Exactly.
That's basically it.
Yeah.
When they're broken, I'll try to put them back together as best I can. And so helping us be successful at that, or in general, medicine is easier to kind of get behind. I think sometimes that can make people more realistic about what they're giving money for.
Yeah, attach a feeling that they're comfortable with.
But I want to acknowledge for a second, if I may, the National Guard. So I mentioned them really quickly. But we see everybody that serves overseas.
Yeah.
But the National Guard, I mean, you think about what they have to do, and whether it's, natural disasters or the civil unrest, these guys have day jobs.
Yep.
I mean, they're working at Home Depot, or they're working as a CPA or whatever. They're working as a doctor, and something spools up and they're out the door.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about deployments overseas. I'm talking about here. I mean, I remember when we had the floods in Houston a few years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, we had truckloads of stuff going down to them to support because they didn't have anything.
Yeah.
When COVID popped off, and on the East Coast, just like through the tri-state area, and this was when COVID was this big unknown,
Yeah.
they had no PPE. I mean, no PPE.
Yeah, zero.
And they're out there, checking people and all that stuff. And it was like, we got you. And we were spending hundreds of thousands of dollars of, hand sanding, masks, all stuff they were asking us for. But I mean, everybody seems to forget about the guardsmen. And I'll look to the camera and say, hey, thank you to those guardsmen that are out there putting in work right now, because sometimes you're kind of just overlooked. And, that's just something that, hey, you don't think our troops are overseas? Fine. But you know what? That troop is picking you off of a roof when there's a flood.
Yeah.
Or they're saving your house when there's a wildfire.
Yes.
Or when they're burning down your city, they're the ones protecting your city block.
And they're rotating overseas, right?
And they're
doing just as many of those rotations as anyone else is.
Well, we were just talking this morning. There's some guys heading out the door right now, right?
Everywhere, all over the place.
Some of the most dangerous flying I've done actually is within the U.S., especially for natural disasters and helicopter firefighting in California. You're definitely not wrong. I mean, I partook in every major natural disaster for the last decade, pretty much. And you spin up in a matter of minutes, really. When Hurricane Harvey happened, we were watching on the map come in. They said, hey, expect a drop. Like, it's going to hit Houston tomorrow. We're flying out tomorrow. We're going to meet the hurricane as it's landing. And we're going to go out day one. Like the moment it passes through, we're out there to go pick up people.
You want to talk about the under-equipped individual?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you look at what a National Guardsman has in their quiver to work with compared to your
like
regular
Vietnam era gear.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Which is unacceptable.
Yeah.
It's unacceptable. We have the technology nowadays to put on a warfighter to make them damn near invincible. And the price tag associated with it isn't worth it.
Yeah.
So it's important, to have organizations out there that can help facilitate and drive that mission.
Right.
Is, hey, if you need a Team Windy helmet, like, here you go. This is way better than your Vietnam era helmet.
And I'll tell you something. I mean, it's not, okay, it's a plug. It's not a plug, but Team Windy, since day one, huge supporters of ours. I mean, whatever you need, whenever it is, Tactical Medical Solutions. And I mentioned them earlier, but same thing. I mean, they are so behind what we do that it's stop everything, get it to them.
We'd love to get involved on getting some of these troops supplied. That's what it's all about, is collaborating to help drive the mission of taking care of our troops.
America, we need your help so that we can help all those service members that are around the globe. We are still in over 100 countries. You won't hear about it. You won't see it in the news, but it's fact. And they are calling us every single day. So if you want to support our Americans in a way that no other organization can offer, please go to troopsdirect.org, make a tax-deductible donation so that we can have those funds, so that when a guy like Six contacts us, we can say yes immediately to make sure they have what they need to serve our nation and get back home to their families.
Thank you for doing what you do, right? Because it's nice to also be, 7,000 miles away and know that there's somebody in your back pocket.
That one person you could call that could facilitate and drive the mission.
But also, Troops Direct, I'm not some lone, operator, Rambo, John Jay doing stuff. We are truly a fire team. We hit that buzzer every morning. As a team, we're the ones that affect. It's a group effort. And to have people like Andrew come out and validate what we do and lend, credence to our mission goes a long way. And thank you guys for having the belief in us to have us come all the way out here to talk to you today. It means a lot.
We appreciate you guys, and we appreciate what you're doing. And it's our pleasure and honor to help share that mission.